I cannot believe I thought my time was free. And then I let someone treat me like I was a non-important or smart individual and had less to offer than they did. And all of that of just then became this, okay, I do have a confidence in what I'm doing and I want to protect that confidence. And because my confidence is my advice. And if I don't have conviction in that advice, then what am I doing?
To our loyal listeners around the globe, welcome back to the Top One podcast. I'm your host, Jerry Corless, along with my co-host, Chas Emerson. And today, we've got a special treat for you folks. Speaking of the Top One, Abby Spalding, one of the owners of Continuum Planning Partners based in Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome, Abby, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Abby. She is on the cutting edge, always evolving and thinking what's next. And man, very, very thankful to have you. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
The Top One is all about revealing the practices and the communication style and language, and also the way that the Top One think. Before we get into some of those things, I think your entry into the business and kind of your early story and how it evolved is not only encouraging, but also, you're a great storyteller and it's pretty funny too. So why don't you, if you don't mind, give us some highlights about how you got into the business and how you evolved into what it became today.
Sure. So I graduated college in '07 and worked for a startup company. I told a lot of people the story in '08. My little startup got taken out at the knees, and the only people that were hiring were commission-based financial planning firms because they didn't actually have to pay me. I had to go make the money myself. I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time and started working for a financial planning practice. Long story short, I moved around a little bit, but joined a collaborative practice up there. And we worked mostly with attorneys. The head of our firm had his JD, and our firm was really built to work for and with lawyers. But we did exclusively cold calling. I smiled and dialed about 100 dials a day. I didn't know anybody. I was 20, nothing, and didn't have a natural market. Candidly, really didn't have a lot of knowledge about what it is that I was doing, and just smiling and dialing and seeing if I made enough calls. That old fashioned 1031 worked really well. And I did that for 4 years solid and tried to work on getting referrals, but cold calling was really where those calluses were built of heavy, heavy prospecting. So went from a no practice to building up a small book over 4 to 5 years. As you both know, and many people know, my father is and was the general agent in Tennessee for a financial planning firm. And so came back to Nashville and worked with him and under him in his firm. Came back to Nashville kicking and screaming. My now husband, then boyfriend, thought it would be a good idea to move back. I told him then, don't unpack your bags. We're going to stay here for like 3 months. Immediately, I was like, this is better. I like it here. Let's stay. But, that was in 2011. And when I moved back, my now business partner, Andy Fott, was in and running the financial planning department. And I thought this idea of doing financial planning was fantastic. And so just had a clean break in my practice, left a practice behind in DC. As weird as this sounds, in 2011, the world wasn't as flat. The idea of me moving and keeping all those clients and just meeting with them virtually really wasn't a thing. So I transitioned those clients back to that firm and had to start over here. Even now, I only have 2 clients that are existing old DC clients. And because of that, when I came back, I decided to be a financial planner. I didn't have to convert a practice or a book. I just said from here forward, I'm going to do fee-based comprehensive financial planning. So when people ask me what I did, I said I'm a fee-based comprehensive financial planner, and kind of went from there.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. You said you come back and you decide Andy Fott was running the financial planning department company, and that's what I want to do. From an industry standpoint, there are a lot of people maybe listen to this podcast that would say, well, I do financial planning. How do you define financial planning? What does it mean? What does it look like? How do you differentiate that versus somebody that's doing it without charging a fee?
The biggest thing that I think about, and I even just explain to our clients, is when you do financial planning that is paid for advice, it puts us in an equitable standing with our clients. And that equitable standing means that you've paid for advice and I am giving you my best advice. And I do think and I say this knowing that advisors are likely trying to give that very good advice on a free basis. but it always comes with a question from the client of, is this in my best interest or theirs? Given this story a few times, but I had a client in DC prior to us doing fee-based planning who, again, he was an attorney. He had really high student loans. He had taken out student loans for both undergrad and graduate school. So he had close to $400,000 of student loans. We did free financial planning to garner trust. And if they trust me, then I would show them what good work I did and they would trust me to help them manage their assets. I found a company that I could refinance his loans with. He could make the exact same payment. And I shaved, I think it was like 7 or 8 years of payments off, and it saved him like $80,000. I mean, it was a no-brainer for him to do this. And the first thing he said to me was, "What is the refinance company paying you?"
I guess.
Because it wasn't equitable.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't garner trust. It, in fact, split trust of like, no, I'm just doing this because it's in your best interest. And we really didn't take the time to do the planning. We did cash flow planning, we did a little planning here and there, but we did positioning so that we could position ourselves with the clients to do wealth management or insurance. And even when I did good work like that, it was even in my mindset positioning versus you're going to pay me to do this.
Hey, Abby, can you just walk us through this is a question I get a lot from other advisors, that transition from free or not charging a fee to charging a fee? 'Cause I know, and my understanding is you don't bring on a client unless they do a fee-based financial plan, correct?
Yeah, again, I am a fee-based financial planner.
That's right. And so that conversation when you transitioned, what did that look like? What are some of the roadblocks you may have hit just in terms of maybe it was internal or maybe external with those clients?
I would say most of it was internal. I have found that the market is actually pretty thirsty for advice that people can pay for. I get what we call phantom referrals, meaning I didn't ask for them. They called into our office all the time saying, I hear you are an advisor that I can pay for advice with, which to me, again, I think the market is actually ready and willing and able for this service. Most of it was the mind shift to me of, oh, that imposter syndrome of like, can I do this? Will people pay a fee? And is this fee reasonable? Andy, my business partner, always says, like, there is definitely a crawl, walk, run in charging financial plans. Of we all undercharge in the beginning because you're scared as hell and you don't know how to charge, you don't know what your hourly rate should be. You're trying to get your systems built up. To I had somewhat of an epiphany of like, I actually know way more than all of my clients, and they need what I have more than I need their money. And that like really triggered a moment for me of like, all right, let's go. And now I can sell this thing because you actually need it more than I need your dollars. And then to running of not only are we going to charge fees, we have minimums. We've built those minimums based off of a business model and our overhead, and we charge renewals, and those renewals are built on a system. And it's that kind of swift run to financial planning.
Just for listener purposes, explain when you say renewals, what does that mean?
So all of our, I say this to clients, the beauty of my industry and job is that financial planning doesn't end. We don't put it in a drawer and say, I'm so glad we checked that box and it's over. So we want to do a financial plan for our clients in perpetuity. I tell my clients, you are hiring me for the rest of our lives. Now, I'm probably not going to work for the rest of my life, but I plan on working a really long time. And so on an annualized basis, we re-engage on a financial plan. They repay me on a financial plan, and we sit back down and we brush everything off and we relook at it with fresh eyes to make sure, as market conditions have changed, as their situations have changed, as they've gotten closer to goals, as they've accomplished goals, that we're celebrating those, that we're modifying those, that we're getting through XYZ transition, whether it's renovating their house, sending their kids to schools, going through a business liquidity event, buying a vacation home, paying a tax bill they didn't expect. I mean, like whatever it is, we're still here and they have access to our advice based off of that annual renewal. So we set it up on the front end that you are paying me for a financial plan, and next year you will pay me again, and the following year you will pay me again, and indefinitely I will be your financial planner in that relationship.
I don't know if you said it or Andy, but I think one of the better ways I've heard it put is we don't do, say you have someone that's 40 years old and you engage with them until they're 65 years old. We don't do 25-year plan. We do 1-year plans.
That's right.
having that
That's
off.
exactly right. Yeah, what I like to say to some clients is some years you go to the doctor and you want a pat on the back that nothing's wrong. And it's not that every year I'm going to come to you with this new idea because the beauty is financial planning isn't actually that new. The tax code has not changed in 8 years. I don't have a new tax idea every single year. But when you do have something that's changing and modifying, I'm going to be at the dance to give you advice, whether that's to keep you from making a bad decision or encourage you to make a good decision.
That's right. Well, I think it's common knowledge, I would say, that adding accountability dramatically increases performance results, and having the annual accountability of that advisor. It's not like you can just set them up one time and then off they go and they're running and they're good. We all need accountability in all facets of our lives, and certainly in something as important as our finances. And I also think, Abby, your model is really what the client envisions when they go to hire a financial person. I'll just say a financial person or a financial professional. They're not coming to us ultimately to invest money or to buy insurance. They're coming to get peace in an area where many people have consternation. They're coming to get wisdom, academic understanding, and experience where we can offer them wise counsel. And certainly, it's not every year there's some new thing that you're kicking out, but it is that the comfort of knowing also that there's this abiding relationship they have with someone who knows them, knows their family, their finances, and can provide that wise counsel.
That's right. And we always talk to our clients. I do this kind of physical hand gesture of most advisors do wealth management and they give free financial planning. And we really believe that those two things need to be decoupled because very rarely does somebody come to me and say, "Hey, I have this investment account. Can you manage it?" Most of the time, people come to me and go, "We got a lot of questions about how we're supposed to tackle XYZ, and we're trying to buy this house, or I'm getting these bonuses and I don't know where to put them. And I have all this debt versus I want to send our kids to college. And I have this business and I don't exactly know if I should sell it. What do I sell it for? Do I sell it to my management team? Do I take it to market? Do I do this private equity? I get a big infusion of cash, but I still got to work there for 5 years. Like, what should I do?" And none of that has anything to do with rate of return.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Absolutely.
so our job is to decouple those. And candidly, and I say this to clients too, if all of my compensation is tied to managing your money, even the best advisors are disincentivized from telling you to pay off debt. Don't use this bucket. You want to buy another house? Don't use this bucket. You want to give the money away to charity? Can we use your cash flow? Because if I use this bucket, that is my only form of compensation. I'm taking money away from my own pocket. Versus if you are paying me a financial plan, my job is to give you advice on all of those planning needs. And if you're paying me a wealth management fee, my job is just to get the best rate of return. And it's more money, but in the end, it's really not, in my opinion, you're getting better value.
I agree. And I would say that's not meant to be accusatory for anyone that's listening, because I think that there are some who would listen and say, hey, no, I really do provide the highest quality financial planning and the complex situations like what you just described, Abby, with business owners. No, I'm in all those meetings and I help them make all of those decisions. My response to that is that may be true, but if that is true, it's not scalable and you're dramatically limiting your vertical growth ability and then ultimately your practice or your company's horizontal growth because when you don't have the revenue stream that really should be there for that counsel that you're providing, you don't have the funds to continue to build out your infrastructure.
Well, and the client is questioning it. I
Mhm.
guarantee you, the client does not think that you are doing this out of the goodness of your heart.
Nope.
That we are not in a non-for-profit business. I tell clients all the time, of course I want multiple revenue streams. Of course I want to do the financial planning and manage the money. You know it, I know it. This is not a secret.
That's awesome. And that's a great segue. All right. So we talked about what you do, right? So with the top one, what do the top one do? And that's a stake in the ground. You're a fee-based financial planner. Part two is how do they communicate? What are the things that they say? That's one of the things that Chaz and I love about you is just the freedom that you have with your communication and how you stand people up and pick people up too. And so can you talk to us about conversations you have with prospects? What does that sound like? How do you describe to differentiate that with them?
You've heard a lot of really just describing what financial planning is. I do usually say that most advisors in the marketplace really fall into camps. They're wealth advisors or they're insurance agents. And again, I'm not knocking that. There's nothing wrong with that. If the client pokes their head out of the sand and says, I need some insurance or I need somebody to manage this bucket of money. My clients don't say that to me. My clients say, I need a plan. I need advice. I need someone to holistically look at everything and help me unbiasedly look at it because I am equally attached to my money as you are to yours. But I don't care where you live. I don't care what car you drive. I want you to have a roof over your head and I want your car to get from point A to point B. But I can very unemotionally look at these decisions and say, hey, we need to pump the brakes. Or is this changing your actual end result goals? You buy or build this house, we can do this, but the implications of that decision are XYZ. I don't have to go to work every day in your shoes. You might look at that and go, yeah, I love this job. I'm going to work those 5 years regardless. Let's go. Or I hate this job. My goal is to quit it and retire at 55 as soon as possible. And I don't want to make that decision. And so our job is just to review the ripple effects with our clients of their decision making and then give them peace of mind on those decisions. A lot of times what I hear from people is, we spend too much money. We just spend so much money. I feel so choked on how much we're spending. A lot of what we talk to our clients about is let's flip the conversation to let's pay yourself first. Let's do what we need to do right with the money. Let's fill the buckets that we need. And then you can spend guilt free.
Right.
You won't be at that vacation going, I shouldn't be doing this. You'll be on that vacation going, we worked hard to get here to spend time with my family on this beach or wherever you are.
Right on.
And it's that peace of mind and release of you're doing all the things you need to be doing so you can do these types of things as opposed to I can't see the forest through the trees and I don't know if this is hurting me or helping me and I can't make a decision. Like let's get everybody out of purgatory in that sense.
Awesome. I've heard you talk another time about how you describe the financial planning role, and then when people do need to implement either a wealth management solution or an insurance solution. I think that's some great communication. Do you mind running through that?
Yeah, I think you're referencing my architect analogy. I usually also say like, if I could be George Costanza some days, sometimes I'm just a Seinfeld fan. But I do use that analogy quite a bit of on the financial planning relationship, clients pay us to be their architect. We come in and build those blueprints. And as your life changes, we want to be on site to make those modifications. I mean, again, we are building out the plans. If you want us to implement on those plans, I can switch hats and be your contractor. We can manage the money. We can implement on the insurance. And I tell our clients, we manage probably 85% of our clients' hats. The other 15% is either in a relationship that they like, they have an advisor that's doing a great job, and I don't need to come in and say that they are dumb and expensive and I am cheap and smart, which is the only argument that I have if I'm going head to head against somebody. We could say it in fancier terms, but that's the reality.
That's right. Yeah.
I can leave it there and come in and plan around it, or they're doing it themselves. They're not ready to give it up. Or lastly, and this isn't the most common, they're a business owner client and they don't have any money. Their money is tied up in real estate or in their business, and they just don't have a big frothy brokerage account because they're building their wealth in their company. But the majority of our clients want to do that architect contractor build together because it works the best. If there is an extending
Is there something in there you communicate also about you charge a fee such that they don't need to purchase any insurance or invest any money with you? Like the fee that they're paying you is justification for your
Exactly.
time.
Yeah, it's not a bait and switch. I'm not putting a little fee in here in hopes to bait you to come join so that I can sell you something later. It is an equitable fee. I base it off of a retainer model for our time. And it incentivizes me to review your estate documents, dig deep into your debt structure, look at your taxes, be forward thinking and build models for you on personal pro formas, on all of these things. It is an equitable, we are on equal footing in that fee. What I normally tell people who have an existing wealth advisor is don't fire them. They probably candidly have done a good job. I'm going to audit their account and I'll tell you what's going well and what I would do differently, but we're all playing in the same sandbox, basically. I can't imagine your wealth advisor is messing up so terribly that they need to be fired. By year 3, you will fire them because we will provide so much more service and so much more output. You will not like managing us both. but you'll make that decision. I don't need to come in and tell you that they are expensive and you're just not going to like having two cooks in that kitchen. And it's easier when it's all in house with us.
Listeners, this is solid gold. If you rewind it, write it down.
It is funny when I do have clients who are like, you told me on year 3 I'd be bringing this account over to you. I know. I've done this before.
Well, that's outstanding. Your communication of the role of the financial planner and the business is just second to none, Abby. So thankful for you
Thank you.
sharing that. Last piece, right, is around how the top one think. And so, given your collective experience, what would you say are axioms, self-evident truths that you've come across in terms of becoming successful and remaining successful on an elite level in the business?
That's a deep and broad question.
Yeah. And then you can take it anywhere you want to take it.
I mean, I've found that working and setting aside time to work on the business, not just in the business, is invaluable time. The more we have been able to step back and build a service model and build a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year case model for our client services and look at globally markets and then be able to act proactively on them as opposed to just putting out kind of the email fires that come in nonstop has been an invaluable part. I also have a business partner that is like we are a yin and yang. We found very early that my skill set ends, his starts, and when his ends, mine picks back up. So that piece has been a way for us to accelerate growth quickly. I've told other people in a steps of a process with a client, I'm very good at step 1 and 2. My business partner is very good at step 3 through 8, and I'm very good at step 9 and 10. And we spent the time to figure that out. So it allows us in a meeting to push and pull with each other and know when it's your turn to speak and when you can put your excellence in and when it's my turn to speak because this is where my excellence is. And that has been that 1 + 1 = 5, that partnership. And we took the time to devote to working on that. It wasn't just a, hey, I like you, let's start working together. It was a like, does this make sense? What are our values? What do you do? What do I not do? And how can we build this together as opposed to, I just like this person and let's try to work together, but I'm kind of working for myself a while.
Yeah, what you're talking about, Abby, working on your business, not always in your business. So I'll say Abby has built a phenomenal company with multiple staff members and multiple other planners. It's not just her and one partner, but also thinking through plugging in those folks where their strengths lie, not just continuing to build. And that's been pretty cool to see. Hey, one thing that I thought of, Abby, well, first off, I'll say if you can't hear Abby's conviction for fee-based financial planning in her voice, like it is there. It is always encouraging. I love it when you said that light bulb moment when my clients, prospects need me more than I need them. That there's some conviction there. Is there a resource or any resources that help you get that conviction, like a particular book or two? It's one of the things, Jerry, I've talked about having a podcast at some point on just resources, but was there something that helped you get over the hump, or was it just at bats, just learning the importance of fee-based financial planning?
It was a combination of 2 events that happened. One, I picked up a client who is now currently, this was, I think, 13 to 15 years ago. This client is now a top client of mine, but I was new to financial planning. I was swinging at getting them as a financial planning client. I undercharged dramatically to get this client because I was very nervous about it, very worried about like, are we providing enough value to even charge a fee? And showed him our financial plan, and he went, God loved it. And at the same time, I was trying to sell a 401k plan to a business owner. And I was really starting to sell it to their CFO. I knew their business owner, they were giving me a shot, and they sent me to their CFO. And he walked all over me, pulled me along, took long phone calls during our meeting, belittled me a little bit in the meeting of like, you're just another one of those sales, but he just really walked all over me. And those 2 events at the same time, and there was, I'm sure, 15 other little events that took me to get me to that minute, but I remember where I was. I was actually talking to my dad on the phone of like, I can't believe I wasted so much time trying to sell a 401k plan because my time is not free.
That's right.
I mean, it just was this light bulb of, I cannot believe I thought my time was free. And then I let someone treat me like I was a non-important or smart individual and had less to offer than they did. And all of that of just then became this, okay, I do have a confidence in what I'm doing and I want to protect that confidence. And that because my confidence is my advice. And if I don't have conviction in that advice, then what am I doing? And so it really did become a big shift in I am protecting my confidence and my advice. And that became I'm only working with people who want to work with me. And a little bit of that is to want to work with me, you got to pay me. I'm not going to do all this free financial planning in hopes that maybe you'll give me a shot. No, if you want to work with me, let's go. And if you don't, tell me quickly. Let's walk away and shake hands and be professionals as opposed to crawling on the floor and begging people for money. I mean, it just felt so dumb. And I just, again, I remember having this conversation and saying, they need me more than I need their money. Even though, by the way, at the time I had no money. So that was a little brazen of me.
But self-worth is independent of net worth.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
That's exactly right. And I had been doing it at the time for 6 years. It's not like 7 years. I knew what I was doing. I knew I had enough experience and knowledge to say, like, I actually can do this. And I had enough people behind me to say, and if I don't know if I have a question, somebody will find it for me. I have enough grit and work ethic to find somebody the answer if I don't know it. So
Stand.
that all just like lit a turnaround for me in my practice and experience and life and everything.
Dear listeners, you just heard the way the top one of the top one think. Outstanding. Chas, before we close out, do you have any other questions for Abby?
No, just want to say thanks, Abby. That was awesome. Love the conviction, and it's been really cool to see Abby grow her team and company over the years and just continue to grow with that conviction. And she wants to help others. That's why she's even doing this podcast. Thinks this is the way to do the business, obviously. So very thankful.
Happy to be here. It's again, it's fun to talk about the practice. This is a total ego stroke too. So I don't mind it at all.
Well, Abby, you are truly representative of the top one. We thank you very much for your time. To our listeners around the globe, this closes out this episode of the top one. Thanks all.
See you later.